The governor has focused on trying to get the very best talent he can, and from knowing many of the people around the table from the transition and even before, it represents great talent. This is about building a team. This is a team that the governor's put together to help him carry out his agenda. The legislative agenda is going to be the priority in the coming weeks, and what the governor announced today at the meeting is a plan, which he will talk about momentarily, to put the commissioners out in a much more visible role, out taking the message out across the state for these priorities, much like the governor has done consistently since coming into office with a budget and other issues. And again, I think this is a great example of people who the governor has recruited. It is a great team, and they are, in fact, going back to their own respective agencies and infusing the same level of passion that they have right down to the agencies. And their job is to unleash the great talent we have in state government and to keep moving this organization forward. So it gives me great pride to turn it over to Governor Cuomo.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Basically, we've been talking about two things. First, the team is coming together. People are getting confirmed. People are joining on. And we're forging a team among the agencies. As most of you know, I worked in the federal government. I was in a cabinet. I was in President Bill Clinton's cabinet. So I have the perspective of what it's like to run an agency as part of an administration. Frankly, I think in many ways the federal government is more effective at incorporating the departments into a single administration and operating as an administration. And that's one of the things we'll be working on here in state government. These commissioners all have a responsibility of running their agency, and running their agency as part of an overall state effort. Specifically, what we're talking about today is working to get the legislative agenda passed. We have 6 weeks or 7 weeks left. And you know my strategy of legislative relations, which is communicate with the people all across the state of New York. And if the people are with you, the politicians will follow. I've been working on building public support for these legislative issues for about 1.5 years now. I started my political campaign. Property tax cap, ethics reform, marriage equality, pension reform, and we're going to continue to do that now that we're down to the home stretch. I think part of it will be bringing the message to the people. We're talking about doing dozens and dozens of events. I will be doing them, the Lieutenant Governor will be doing them, and the members of the administration will be doing them, and the commissioners around the table will be doing them, doing events where appropriate also. So we were talking about that. Other than that, any questions?
So are you saying that all the members of your cabinet are being tasked with going out and advocating for your high-profile positions, property tax cap, ethics reform, perhaps same-sex marriage?
Well, Fred, all will be informed on the legislative agenda going forward. You know, they are representatives of the administration, and obviously they're out there, they're at communities, they're talking to reporters, and they'll all be up to date on the legislative agenda. Depending on the commissioner, some will have a role that is more relevant to some of these issues. Obviously, some of the agencies are more relevant to property tax cap. Some of the agencies are more relevant to ethics reform. Some of the agencies are more relevant to pension reform. So depending on the specific expertise of the commissioner and the area of responsibility, they'll have more or less of a role on a particular item. But we're all part of one team, and we'll all be fully informed.
Just a follow-up. I don't know that you did. I suspect you didn't. But do you expect all your commissioners, whatever their personal views, to be advocating for something like same-sex marriage, which to some people I think they may be opposed for their own personal reasons?
Fred, on any issue, if a commissioner is opposed to an item, obviously if they don't want to advocate for an item, that I would understand.
What is your message going to be, and specifically when you say you're going to travel the state, are we talking town hall meetings? Or what are we going to be saying?
All of the above, Ken. All of the above. Editorial boards, events. You know, how did we get the budget passed? We got the budget passed because I did dozens and dozens of events, again, starting last year, right? My campaign was really the beginning of the budget process, if you want to look at it through that lens. But even during that period, during January, we did dozens of events. I did a slideshow presentation all across the state, and we'll be doing the same here. Now, property tax cap I've been talking about for a year and a half. Ethics reform I've been talking about for a year and a half. Marriage equality I've been talking about for a year and a half. But we're in the home stretch, and this will be a final push. But all of the above.
Governor, have you had this plan for some time, or is this the result of a lack of movement from the legislature to try and reach out to the public and get them on board with your agenda?
Aaron, this has been the consistent plan. You know, I think the legislature has a responsibility, the executive has a responsibility, and my personal strategy, if you will, we talked about it back in the campaign. When the question was, how do you get Albany to act? How do you get Albany to move? So many governors have come and nothing has ever changed. What's going to be different here? I said I fundamentally believe in the concept of democracy, where if the people express their desires, the politicians will follow, or they won't be politicians for long. You know, ultimately, there's a logic to the system. But you have to bring the message to the people. And they have to be mobilized, and they have to be educated, and they have to be supportive of the position. But if they are, I believe the politicians follow. I believe that's one of the main reasons why the budget was passed. Now, part of that, excuse me one second, Mike, part of that is done in this town, in this building. Part of it is done in the governor's mansion. Part of it is receptions and cups of coffee and meetings and discussions with leaders and discussions with advocacy groups. The biggest part of it for me doesn't happen in this building. The biggest part of it for me happens in communities all across this state, and happens at press conferences and happens at meetings with local groups and getting the message out. That's what I believe brought us to the success in the budget. That's what I believe will bring us to success with the rest of the legislative agenda. I'll be doing it. The Lieutenant Governor will be doing it. Commissioners around this table will be doing it. I'm sorry, Mike.
I'm sorry, Governor. What process do you have to solicit any input that potentially could make any changes to proposals, or is this mostly going out and selling your proposals, your specific proposals to the public?
Mike, I've been talking about these proposals for years. They have been published, refined, honed, critiqued. I don't believe there's going to be a lot of education or modification of the proposals. That is it will be more selling, to use your word, short answer. However, will there be negotiation with the legislative leaders? Yes. That's a different process.
Is there a problem with negotiating an ethics bill in secret with the legislative leaders, given the 2007 ethics bill was produced in that way, and most people regard it as woefully falling short?
I would agree with that analysis on the woefully falling short. There is nothing secret about my ethics proposal. It's been published in hundreds of pages, numerous times. You all got a kick out of teasing me for the number of books and trees that I killed last year in the campaign and we put out. So the ethics proposal has been, my ethics proposal has been published many, many times.
I'm talking about the final bill, the results is being negotiated in secret, is it not?
Yeah, if there is something to talk about in terms of a specific proposal that is being considered, then I will obviously share that with the people of the state. We're not there, but when and if that happens, I'll share it with the people of the state.
Governor, what are you going to be telling people on the specifics of your property tax cap? Do you see any changes to that? Do you think if you add exemptions that weakens the property tax cap?
We're going to be talking about the proposal I made in the campaign and the proposal I've advocated every day since, Tom.
You don't think there should be any changes then to the exemptions?
I believe the strongest proposal is the proposal we put forward. Now, that is different than saying, well, are you saying, I'm not saying that I will, my idea is the best and therefore I will be deaf to any discussion on the proposal, right? I understand other people may have opinions, the legislature may have opinions, and I'm open to discussing different options. But I believe my proposal is the best proposal. That's why it's my proposal, and that's why I put it forward.
One more to Assembly Speaker Silver about his property tax cap proposal that he mentioned yesterday.
I have been talking to the Speaker about the property tax cap proposal for over a year, and those conversations are ongoing. I think we're making progress, but the conversations are ongoing.
Will you be at Ground Zero tomorrow with the President?
I'm sorry, Tom?
How does he want to change your proposal?
Well, I think it's fair to say that the Assembly believes that my proposal is too rigid, and that there should be more flexibility in it. I'm sorry?
Are you going to be at Ground Zero tomorrow with President Obama?
We're talking to the White House, and we're coordinating with the White House, and they're planning the visit. I don't know what the final plans are, but whatever their desires are, that's exactly what we'll do.
Can you talk about the emotions that would be for you if you are there, in terms of standing there now that Osama bin Laden has been taken care of?
You know, I think, Ken, there are, as a New Yorker, I think there are mixed emotions. I think on one hand, there's a tremendous sense that justice was done. Finally, that justice was done. There's a sense that there's a sense of relief that this man is not in a position any longer to cause any more damage and any more pain and any more loss. At the same time, I think this refreshes the recollection of a terrible, terrible day and terrible images and a terrible loss. And to the extent it revisits the pain, that's hurtful. So I think it's mixed emotions. I'm very proud as a New Yorker that the President is coming, and I think it's appropriate, and I support his visit.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you.